What's going on, everybody? It's your man Chris Azir here, AstrologyUniverse LLC, back with another live video. It's going to be me talking astral theory and just spewing how life is treating me so far and where it's been going. As people may know, you may not know, I used to be on this channel all the time while I was under a different name and to give talks about how life and how we should see it and how we should view it. And now that I've become an astrology channel, I usually talk with astrological jargon, but there's a way to speak your mind and not necessarily have to speak it in astrological terms. Because I do feel the person who has the ability to convey knowledge is a lot more important or valuable than a person who has the ability to obtain it. Your ability to speak and give out what you say is going to be a lot more important than just being able to take and absorb. And that's what a lot of people do. But this is going to be more of a light talk, more of a just realistic, down-to-earth talk, and how I feel about certain things and how they affect other people, including me. And so this morning, I woke up good. I woke up real good. I just woke up happy. And this is just coming off of the past 2 days. You wouldn't be able to tell, or maybe you do, depending if you watch my channel, if you watch my reels or my lives, you'll be able to tell. I was not that happy these past 2 days. Nope. Everyday regular problems that get people. My problem, depending on what my chart tells me, is impatience. I have the ability to want everything yesterday. Have no ability to want to wait around and reap the reward. And another problem I have is to feel like an outcast or to feel alone. Feel like as if I'm the only one who really has this knowledge, or I'm part of a few people who really have this knowledge. And the few people who do have this knowledge with me, we only talk once every blue moon, because it's go out, acquire more information, and then relay it back to confirm with somebody else what you found, and then you go back at it again. But you know, my astrological sign is the sign of the loner, so it ain't that serious no more to me. But these past few days, I've been on TikTok looking at live streams and things of that nature and intent too, and I look at some things that I used to, and still, just a little bit, get confused about. I would scroll through and check the home feed and see what it has to show me, and I would see all of these relationships going on. About out of every 10 reels or 10 posts I would pass through, probably like 2 out of 10 was something, wholesome in a relationship. The other 8 out of 10, this woman. Yeah. Okay. It would be 2 out of 10 would be, functioning relationships. The other 8 out of 10 would be terrible. They'll just be this person, this individual, this female, this male cheated on their partner, their baby moms, somebody they had loyalty to, and the other person would be in denial. They wouldn't care. They tried to pay off the person to not tell the other partner, and I'm just like, why it gotta be like that? And each of these individual cases hurt me, because I understand that we do live in a society where relationships are tough. Loving another person is hard. It's very, very hard. And I have a feeling, because it's going to be me speaking my mind, some of these examples, like one individual, one group, or one failed relationship that I was seeing was a man. He walked into a bathroom to his baby mother, and she had apparently though she had apparently slept with his brother. And she goes off on a rant. Every question that he tries to throw her way, she'd immediately have a response. She'd be like, well, everybody knew but you. That's a burn. He would be like, but you have no self-respect. You know, you're a whore. And she was like, so instantaneously, real quick. It was a short video. And she would say, and he would say like, oh, I put money down for our son. I put money down for a son. And she's like, you know, your brother puts double. Your brother brings double that amount. So why aren't you questioning him? And the entire situation broken down was just weird. It's not even weird. It's just like, the word I'm looking for is problematic. Problematic. You seeing that coming down, and they talking about, woo, you know, I don't know, I don't owe anything to you. The man talking about, I was good to you. I was good to you while we were together. And she said, oh, well, you know, I cheated. That's why I'm not with you anymore. And it would be a back and forth. And it was just like, I go to read the comments, and obviously majority of the comments were females being like, I love the energy, I love the unbotheredness, I love all of the situations like that. Few of them would be males too, supporting the same thing. And then you would have an even smaller subgroup of the comments, one or two comments being like, man, you should just leave her and go on with a day. But the entire situation, if you really break it down, if you really think about it, there's so much trauma going on in our community that you can just see or feel, because there's obviously more going to that story than we're just letting on to believe. There were certain lines she had dropped that he kind of seemed dismissive of. She was like, oh, all black men, the N-word cheat. And he was like, all right, but you did it with my brother though. I don't know why he said it like that. That would like lead me to infer that maybe he himself would have cheated before. But she goes on to later say, okay, I have no obligation to you because I'm your baby mom's. And he would make a big about, well, they. That doesn't make any sense, and it never made sense to me. So I'd really think, like, why or what are the common traits that people in modern day society, at least in the first world countries in the Western world, why or what is the things that happen that really would cause a breakdown like that? And there are only a couple things really. I started to realize there are not that many things that are gonna establish whether a relationship is gonna break or is gonna be made. And the reason why I'm really going in on relationships like that right now is because in my life, the transiting chart is running through a specific place in my chart that is affecting my sign and everybody like me. My sign is specifically going towards relationship issues right now. And everybody who has my sign is going to go through those same problems, whether or not they're in a relationship. They're going to have difficulties with getting a relationship, or they're going to have difficulties with the relationship they're already in. There's going to be challenges. And I've seen it from other people in my household who have the same sign as me. I've seen it. It's real. So I wanted to really understand how can I really maneuver through this time period and to understand how this works. So peep game. Another scenario when I talk about trauma going on in this community, like real trauma. Once you feel like your needs are not being met, like you're not really being heard, like you're not really being valued, you have two options. You can compromise and try to be like, you know what? Even though I'm not specifically getting what I want, these other things that I have in my life, they're too good to let go. Or you could be like this and say, I need to get what I want exactly how I want it. And if you can't deliver that to me, I gotta let you go. I gotta let you go. And 9 times out of 10, it's the latter that people do in modern day society. And I necessarily can't blame that, but think about it this way. If you're young, if you're in your teens, if you're in your early 20s, you got majority of your life ahead of you. You got more time in front of you than you do behind you. I'm not necessarily going to say the high school sweethearts need to be loyal to each other for the rest of their life. They're going to be around, they're going to be together longer than they've even been alive. I'm not going to say that. You can afford to say at that point in time or that stage in your life, you know what? I can get something better. I can get what I want. Because you don't know yet. You don't know necessarily just yet if what you want is really impossible to get, or if you're being shorthanded right now and the other person is taking advantage of you too much. You don't know just yet. So you can take those risks, especially if you're both in your youth. But once you start hitting your late, listen to what I'm saying, once you start hitting your like late 30s, and it's different. If you're a man, it's going to be your late 30s and the 40s. If you're a woman, it's going to be by late 20s into middle 30s for a specific thing I'm going to talk about. Once you start hitting that point in time in your life, sooner or later, you're going to be at the point where you're not going to have more life ahead of you. You're only going to have the same amount of time you've had on this earth and being able to live it again. So if you around 40, you might only have another 40 years going down again. It gets to a point in time where I hate to say this word, but it's like you got to really hanker down on what you really want or what you really can get. What you really can get. Everybody's young at one time. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's young at one time. Everybody makes mistakes. You might get with an individual, a child may become involved. You might get with an individual, they may put you in the wrong crowd. You might get with an individual and they break your heart in 1,000 different ways. Completely treat you like toilet paper and do whatever they want with you. It's possible. And it happens all the time. But it gets to a point where you need to understand, and I've come to see there is no such thing as a perfect relationship. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. Even in that scenario, in that situation that I was talking about with the man and the woman, remember what she was saying. She was having sexual affairs with his brother, and his brother was giving her money. Now that's the situation that most people don't talk about, that I didn't see people comment on. That I didn't see people comment on. Right. I didn't see people commenting on that. This is what I'm saying. The community and societal standards in certain parts of the world, especially here in the Western culture, is bad. How are you going to pay for your siblings' involved other and not let them know? It's already one thing that, you know, you slept with your sibling, you know, one of the children apparently, or maybe you grew up with. You know what I'm saying? I don't think this would have been a stepbrother that, you know, you only saw once every 5 years. I don't think it's anything like that. I think it would be something closer than that. How are you going to not only sleep with them, but on top of that, you're giving money. You're giving money to their involved partner that they have a child with. You're essentially paying for your niece or nephew, and you're not letting your sibling know. You're paying for your niece and nephew, another individual's kid, and you're not letting them know. Why are you doing that in the first place? I don't understand. And why? And it's not even that you're paying for them. It was not like you're adding an extra couple dollars to their, you know, to their family fund. No, you're paying apparently double what your sibling is paying for. That's not even your child. And something tells me, from the way that that female was talking in the video to that man, and this is really, I have to have the man question what's really going on in his life, and have him question, like, you know, what do we really value in society? Why why are you paying more than double the amount? Why is my brother, if you're the man and that's, why is he paying more than double that amount to be with her, but he's not necessarily taking care of the kid? He knows there's a kid involved. You gotta at least, you know, put two and two together that maybe some of that money is going towards the kid. But why are you paying for her in general? I don't get it. I don't believe you plan to stay with said female, said individual. You know that female has relations with the brother. It's one thing if you're just having a romantic affair with. It's one thing if you're having a romantic affair with that, with your brother's significant other. I've heard stories like that before. That's it's not good in itself, but I would understand that. But no, you're sleeping with said individual, and you're spending money with, you're spending more money than your brother is. You're sleeping with your brother's significant other. You're spending more than double your brother is on their significant other. It's not even a significant other, in their other, in a person they are currently still going through some sort of affair with, or relationship status with. But you're not staying with that individual. You're not directly taking care of the child. Why are you doing that? That is so strange to me. Like, why would you do that? That feels like as if, like, there is some weird, again, justification in the brother's mind that, yeah, I need to do this. You're not even living with the woman. Like, you're not even living with the woman. And I gotta tell you the truth. Coming from the school of astrology, I think people just like doing the taboo. I think people without second thought, if they see a taboo situation that is supposed to be morally wrong, people like doing the taboo. We need to keep it serious. People have an innate lust, the desire, attraction to do things that are taboo. Even if what they're doing is taboo doesn't really serve them a purpose, besides the sex, for the man's brother. Why are you spending that much money? Why are you spending that much money at all? The taboo in itself is sleeping with your brother's significant other. To spend more money than he is, what benefit do you get from that? I don't understand. I don't understand that part at all. And to think that he would go to the female first and not go to the brother. He did say in the video you would have some words with him. What do you mean some words with him? What do you mean some words with him? This is a part I didn't understand too. What do you mean you're only gonna have some words with him? What? Your brother is paying for your child behind your back. I'm not even worried about the sex right now. That part hurts too, and we should keep that in account. But he's paying for your child behind your back. And he's not even really in the child's life. So the situation leads me to believe the woman went to the brother, not only to get back at the man, but because the brother had more income than his sibling. And that could be the justification in his mind. There's the taboo aspect of it. He gets to sleep with the brother's uh partner, or the brother's person that he's having complications with. And he gets to flex on his brother as well too, that he can pay for his brother's family. I feel like that's it. I feel like it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It'd be the most simplest of taboos that people would want to do, regardless if thing that they're doing really has a benefit to them or not in the long term. I don't feel people, or most people who are in situations like that, think past that point. Anything to kind of put a chip on their shoulder, take advantage of, or to make themselves superior to somebody else. It could be as simple as that. It'd be as simple as that. But since nobody wants to admit that, remember, everybody has a justification in their mind. He probably thinks in his mind too. Like I said, he's helping his brother out. He's thinking in his mind, he actually is helping his brother out. He thinks that he's helping his brother out. He's doing right by him. Yeah, that's supposed to be your family. That's supposed to be your blood. But it can really be the ones closest to you at points in time that really do you dirty. Do you dirty. It's a complicated situation all across the board. It's a complicated situation, not only because of that man in the situation, but the implications around how he got there. So many things were said, or so many things that were not said, led me to really think about, wow, this really runs deep, because this isn't the first time at all, not even close, that I've heard a situation like this going down. But I'm just like, why would it be done? Because let's keep it honest. It's actually difficult to do right. Say no to that type of scenario or situation in today's culture. It's difficult. It's not something that you could just say no off the bat. It's something that you would feel an inclination to. And if you are already in a community or a society that tells you to step back from that, if you grew up in a super ultra religious space, or you grew up in well incomed area per se, you may not, or you may have a second thought. That's the better word. You may have a second thought before doing something like that. But these people did not look like as if they were coming from a high income area. These look like lower class, impoverished individual black people. You can tell by the situation that they were in that this is not something that would happen in a higher income area, or people who grew up in a higher income area, especially here in the States. So even your background, social status, background applies to that too as well. Because poverty, lack of income will get you to do some of the most heinous of things. A need or a act of survival, a need for individual survival due to lack of income from a impoverished area will cause people to rob, steal, do things that require them to care more than themselves than they do their closest significant other, than their child, and things like that. So they can feel as if they have something for themselves because they don't have a lot to begin with. Because they don't have a lot to begin with. People cannot be put in a situation to morally think about what they have done if they're always busy trying to survive. If they're in a climate every single day that is based on a survival me over everybody else, get what I want mindset. So that is going to lead, for example, to broken homes, broken relationships, and very wild out situations like that. Because the average person in society is not really required or even advocated to be cool, useful, or even celebrated in any way, shape, or form to think about doing something that might be morally right or better in the long term. It's not the case. It's not the case. And these people looked semi in their prime. Maybe they were in their late 20s, if not 30s even. So they're still at that tipping point. But here's where it gets really, 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 really interesting too when you think about it. Men and women operate differently. Certain things men will need, certain things women will need and will have to deal with. When it comes to men, at a certain point in time in their life, and this is what most men don't realize, men need valor. Men need a sense of purpose. They need admiration for something that they need to do. Men need to be toted on a pedestal at some point. Young men, young boys strive for validation. They strive for something to look up to, look forward to. This is why it's so important for a man to be in a boy's life. And this is why boys who grew up without their fathers, for the most part, can end up very bad or wild in their youth as soon as the father leaves the life for whatever reason. Men, and this is why a lot of young men will join up into gangs or groups to fend for themselves. There's an act of, I need another individual male to compare myself to follow the footsteps of, to build something for themselves. Men are known for their ability to provide, for their ability to build, for their ability to work. It's a necessity to a man. And growing up in a society or a climate in modern day culture, especially again in the Western culture, where it is promoted on the media and promoted in news outlets. This individual has more money. This individual has more access to love or romance. This individual has more of a status or place in society. It can affect you. It can affect you. It can affect you. And it's marketed that way to affect you. That you must live up to a certain standard, that you must live up to a certain hype, that you must live up to a certain norm. No man wants to feel inferior. No man wants to feel that way. No man wants to feel as if they have to be second fiddle or they have no control over their own lives. And this I can say can be true not only for myself, but I can see. The only reason men do such a said thing or do such a said thing is because society may push you into a box to say you are supposed to be this way based on how you act and how you carry yourself. You are supposed to be considered a famous person. You might be a semi-famous person. You could be a regular individual who can take care of themselves. Some people are considered the lowest part of the spectrum. Some people are considered weird, losers, outcasts, and all of these things. Think about it. Depending on how you dress, how you speak, who you hang out with, your car, your marital status, people judge you based on those things without a second thought. This is human nature. We judge based on those things. We subconsciously judge. Mankind subconsciously judges people. We subconsciously judge everything. We don't have to consciously think about it. We will make judgments in the back of our minds and act upon said judgments. You don't have to come out and necessarily say, oh, this person or this individual, is a famous person. Wow, you're extremely famous. Congratulations on what you do. You're going to go to their concerts. You're going to buy their products. You're going to listen to, and it doesn't have to be celebrity famous. It could be politician famous. It could be a politician. People love their politics. People love their politics. People love their ideologies too. No matter what you want to apply on, you don't necessarily need to call it out face value. You can tell what you care about, what you care about, and what you don't care about, depending on how much time you spend a day with it, how much time and energy you spend communicating that said thing with others. We can tell what you value and what you don't value. We can tell. Now, I'm not a woman, but this is the few things I can see for about a woman that is just a fact. It's just a fact. A late individual by the name of Kevin Samuels, even though I did not agree with everything that he said, he did make me privy to certain things about females. Females, by nature, are attracted, especially when they are younger. And this is astrologically proven as well, too. Females, when they are younger or in their youth, are attracted to males that have said things I mentioned earlier. Status, fame, income. Their level of aggression, their level of confidence. Females are attracted to males, not just one individual male. Females are attracted to males who have that feature, who have those features, who have those causes. And really, their level of aggression or masculinity, their ability to just act upon what they want to do without fear of consequences in any way, shape, or form, and let their desires really take a hold of them. When they are in their youth, teens to 20s, this is going to be the most important thing. This is going to be the most important thing. It's by nature, it's biological. This ain't something that you can necessarily change. You can't change that. Same way you as young men are most attracted to beauty in their youth. Beauty standards. Beauty standards. How beautiful their face are, their size of their bust, their waist. Beauty standards. Simple. Simple things. Simple cardinal human desire things. DNA, lust, and urges for man and woman to be together to procreate. Can't change that. That's simple. We complain about it every single day, or you can find people who have problems with it every single day. That's how it is. We are lustful. We are attracted to each other, especially in our youth. We don't have much else to worry about. But as you get older, speaking towards females now too, around the age of 35, females are going to start to deal with, on average, not every female, are going to start to deal with geriatric pregnancy, which means their ability to have a child will start to waver a bit. And as they get older from that point, they lose their eggs and things of that nature and intent. So if a female does not have a child by that period of time, whether or not, and this is not every female, but for the most part, by that period of time, if they do not have a child, they will go out their way to have one, because it is biologically, by nature, that a female at one point in time is going to want to be a mother. They're going to want to be a mother. So people like to complain about hot girl summers and all those things like that nature and intent too. For the most part, 8 out of 10 situations, when females tend to have children, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't on purpose. Before that age of 35, when females, for the most part, have children, it wasn't on purpose. They did not plan for that child to come through. They ended up getting pregnant, and then they just had the decision to keep it. And even that in itself is biologically advocated for. They are still in the frame of mind, chase after lust. And I bring these things up not to judge anybody, but to get people to really understand one another. I feel that men and women do not have a understanding enough of what it really means to be a human, of what it really means to be a person. There are certain things, morality-wise, personality-wise, that we can talk about every single day or talk about all day, but there are certain things that just come with having flesh and bone. There are certain things that just come with that you need to not associate with that person being a bad person. You can't just associate that person with being a bad person just because of that. You gotta understand. And here's something that is also a fact too, especially if you live in a Western society and all society. Females have a far easier time in their youth to get access or to be privy to things that they want compared to a male. The average male does not really get his life in order until his 30s, if not 40s. They may have some money here or there in their 20s. But the average male does not get his life together or even really decide to have a family, settle down with a one particular woman until their 30s or 40s. And yes, there are examples of men in their 30s and 40s who quote unquote cheat on their wives and do things of that nature too. Those things happen. I'm not going to deny that. But again, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, so do women too. There are women who are in their 30s and 40s still who decide to cheat on a man. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not the point I'm trying to make here. You're talking about exceptions to the rule, and we do that a lot too. We love to look at exceptions to the rule and again, blow it up and then blame all men or blame all women for it. We love to look at exceptions to the rule, to look at a particular celebrity and what they did and apply it to all females or to apply it to all males, or we love to look at certain politicians. We look at a certain politician from this side of the camp, Democrat or Republican, and be like, their one stance that they have is how all Democrats or Republicans feel, if you're in the political space as well. You can do it for sports teams as well. This one individual take, this one player who made a bad play on the Miami Dolphins, that represents the entire Miami Dolphin team. We love to take individual situations, look at them, and blow it up to say that that's just the majority of how it is for the rest of the world. That is one of the biggest problems in society. We don't have the ability to dissociate between something that we see that is being talked about on a wide scale versus it actually happening in reality. And I'm an individual who fails at that too. I'm still young myself. I have been on multiple occasions been put in a situation or been put in situations where I would see something happening to a celebrity and believe that that is the norm, or that should be the norm for me too, and I should go chase it. And when it didn't actually happen in my reality, I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken. We can get humans value their beliefs. We value what we believe in. When sometimes we can end up becoming delusional in things that certain things that we value. Certain things that will have absolutely no benefit to us whatsoever. We can become delusional in what we value. We can become delusional in what we value. What we value and what we see. I can say for a fact too, if you are an individual who has been going through these problems, if not now, at some point in your life, and I guess we've been talking about relationships today, so let's keep it on topic. If you've been going through these problems at any point in your life and you would really like to know the astrological term I'm going to be using, this is really going to be affecting people who are Virgos for these next 2.5 years, right? But that doesn't mean you have to be a Virgo to be going through these problems. Just so I don't want to use too much astrological jargon in this specific talk. I'm feeling good today and just getting things off my mind. The first thing people need to come to do is understand one another better. You can't save every relationship. When people get older, they start to need and or rely on each other better. A lot of people love to claim, if you're a female, you do not need a man in any way, shape, or form. Or if you are a male, you don't need a female in any way, shape, or form either. once you get to a certain age, it really depends on what you do or what you want. People end up staying in relationships, and this is how relationships work, what I'm about to tell you. People end up staying in relationships for necessity. You can't really divorce that woman or divorce that man because you spent the last 20 years with them. You have a house with them, two joint kids, you've been working the same job in the same area for a certain long period of time. You can't afford to just pick it up and change and relive your life at 52 years old. You can't afford to, after 5, 6 kids that you put all through college, decide, for the most part, now I want to restart a new family and get started with this career at 62. There's certain things you just can't do anymore. And this is astrologically proven too. Your body can't keep up anymore with certain things after a certain age. If you're in your 30s, 40s, even 50s in some instances, you could probably get away with it. Once you hit 60s, 70s, 80s, you can't restart anymore. This is not supposed to be the phase of your life where you're still trying to figure it out or start it up again. This is where you're trying to maintain what you have. Because people can try to get into relationships, and I've seen it too, where people try to get their lives in order. They try to do everything right. They're trying to take care of families and start families in their 20s. In their 20s, they're trying to do everything that they should be doing by the time they're in their 40s, really, in their 20s, and it doesn't pan out. It doesn't pan out. We have this ability, or we in society have a lack of understanding of one another, and one of the reasons is we push that we are older than we really are. How many times you can walk around and people saying once you hit 30, you're old now. Once you hit 30, you're old now. People think they're grown so much faster than there is. Astrologically speaking, you do not even hit a full level of physical maturity until you're 30 years of age. You are not even fully considered grown, universally wise, until you reach the age of 30. Grown, not old, grown. From 18 to 29, you are still considered a young, keyword, young adult. Your body may have stopped physically growing. Your mind hasn't. Your mind hasn't. The amount of experiences you've had in this world haven't. You just haven't. You haven't. So if you were to get into a relationship young and you thinking you're doing everything right, it wasn't a bad thing that you tried. You didn't know. Again, that is based on lack of experience. You just fundamentally are not old enough yet to have experienced fully what you want or what you can compromise in this life, because you will come to understand, and I'm coming to understand this too. I'm not even done yet. But I used to beat myself up over a past failed relationship thinking that I did everything right. And no one cheated on anyone else, but the relationship ended because we couldn't see eye to eye. We couldn't see eye to eye. I felt I was as if I was used. I was being used after a certain point, and I felt the other person didn't want to grow. that really wasn't the person for me. Come to learn later, after it was over, astrologically, that person wasn't really going to match with me anyways, long term. You see, I can see that now astrologically, if this person not and myself are going to go long term. So if it doesn't work out, it still hurts, but it still gives me more of a buffer of, okay, okay, I get it now. I get it now. And even if, and here's the part that people need to understand too, because it can be tragic at times. It can be tragic at times for the male and female, because even if your intentions are right, now this is from a male's perspective again, even if your intentions are right as a male, and you find a female that you would want to be with, at the end of the day, you're going to need resources. You are going to need resources. When a female is young, your level of male machismo aggression is going to be the key dominant feature. That will get you what you want as a male. And if you are a male and you are acting on that super aggressive dominant situation, you're not really looking to marry anyways. While a female is still in her youth and she's still attracted to that, to the machioso persona, she's not necessarily looking to get married anyways. It's sexual attraction. And we tend to demonize, whether you're in a religious sphere or if you're in a secular field, we tend to demonize the sexual attraction. We would rather condemn an individual for having sex with multiple people than to say, be safe. This is how you should have sex. Do it this way instead, so you can avoid unwanted pregnancy, so you can avoid getting tied into something. It's one thing if you already are in a relationship with somebody and it doesn't work out, and then you can grow to hate that person or resent them because you're still trying to figure out yourself. It's another thing when that you're in that situation and now you have a child involved or multiple children involved. Now you have two options: run off and be considered a deadbeat, or stay with a person that's going to make you miserable and deal with things like that individual man. When it comes to now your brother is involved, you're coming there, now you have to expose them on the internet. It's a mess. And I can't say it's necessarily just that person's fault, because society as a whole is not really challenging those problems right now. Society as a whole isn't really challenging those problems right now. Now, if you were to look at your chart astrologically, you could already see the potential for that person having that child at that point in time was going to happen. Hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. You were going to have that child regardless on that date, on that period of time, because of this, with that horrible partner that you didn't like. You could see that in the chart. Hindsight. Of course, after it's already happened, I can go look at the chart and tell you, that was going to happen. But society hasn't always been this way. If you go back thousands of years where people actually knew astrology, they would plan this. They would be able to say, oh, well, no, this is going to happen if you get with this individual here and now. The potential for you to have a child is through the roof. Probably shouldn't do it this time. Wait until the next day. Wait until the day after. Wait a couple days after, or even a month after even. Then you can do whatever you want. It's really only when you get older that you have ability as a man for a woman. If you want to keep a woman, this is not to have sexual intercourse with a woman. I've come to realize, if you want to keep a woman, the thing that will keep a woman, that a woman will chase for, that will keep her, I will get you to keep a woman, is going to be your resources, what you can provide at the end of the day. If a woman has children to raise, whether they be your own or not, if the woman has a lifestyle she's trying to live, she is going to need resources. That's not a bad thing. It makes sense. She's going to need resources. It makes sense. It makes sense. If a female is trying to get with a man, if a female is trying to get with a man, she's got to be on the same page with him. If a female is trying to keep a man, she has got to be on the same page with him. She's got to be on the same page with him. Got to be on the same page with him. You can't, at that age in time, as that male gets older, you want an older male to begin with. You want an older male to begin with. Why should the female in her early teens or 20s or even mid 20s going on 30s, why would she get with the man who's in his mid 20s to coming up 30s as well, who's only just now getting started on his feet, versus the man in his mid to late 30s going on 40s who's already has the necessary resources to take care of her? Why? Or you find yourself in another situation where sometimes it is the female who provides more for the man at first, but long term you can see that that man is in a field, that man is in a career where sooner or later he's going to get to a point where he should be able to make enough income to not only provide for you or them first. It's a compromise. It is a compromise. It is, I'm going to put off what I want here right now for what I want in the future. This is what causes a relationship to last 30, 40, 50 years. People are running into these relationships thinking that I need to get what I want now, 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 now. No, that person is an individual. You are an individual. You want what you want. They want what they want. You're not going to get that person to stop being themselves just to appease you. Same way you know for a fact you'll never let that person stop you from wanting what you want to be yourself. You can't necessarily change an individual. No, you didn't change that individual. You had a plan to go somewhere or be somewhere with that individual in the future. Their personality didn't change. They already had the ability to be on that route in the first place. You're not gonna have somebody tell you to their face, no, I do not agree with what you're saying, and then you think a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 years down the line, you're gonna get them to change that fact. No. It don't work that way. It don't work that way. And let's keep it, and I gotta keep it honest. We gotta keep it honest. We gotta keep it honest. And it hurts me too, because again, it's not like I am above anything that I'm saying. I'm just relaying what I found out during this period of time. This is a real talk. Even in some of the most long lasting of relationships, cheating had occurred at one point in time or another in it. There was some sort of infidelity at some period of time. And it just so happened that the individuals who were in said relationship did not blow it up out of proportion or leave their individual because of it. Am I saying they used to do it routinely on an everyday basis? No, but at some point in time, one of the two individuals, or maybe even both at some point, had some infidelity, even in their older ages as I'm talking. This is how humanity works. This is how people works. So it's the ability to forgive, really, and understand what you want or want to maintain in the long term is more important than your in the moment feelings and ego about what you feel or you believe. what you feel or believe that you are entitled to. This is real. This is real because there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. This is real. Love in relationships is based on what you will tolerate out of the other person. What you will tolerate. It's not about what you can get, it is what you're willing to tolerate with. To able to add some provision, some sort of stability to an overall life goal or plan with said person. And that's what we need to grow to understand. That's what we need to grow to understand. It's hard for me to literally say sometimes it's hard for me to say and get people to really believe that sometimes a moment of lust is just that. Sometimes believe for me to say a moment of lust is just that, just lust. Because certain situations, where you going to go with it? You're not going to go anywhere. A 19-year-old individual male with a 40-year-old woman, where are you going to go with that? Where can you go with that? Where can you go with that? It's just a moment of lust. And even me saying this right now, I don't even want to believe what I'm saying, but how can you stop it? We are designed by nature to want to procreate or find pleasure in the act of procreation, whether or not a child is formed or not. And in certain certain cultures, certain Eastern cultures, they do not preach infidelity. I'm not going to say that. But again, like I said, if certain situations happen, they can let it go. Does this mean take infidelity or cheating at a large scale? No. Because you got to understand too. Remember the scenarios I pointed out for you. When you're in your youth, very easy. Very, very easy for you to do something one time, see society hyping you up for, see your friends, closest friends or situations, backing you up on things that could be considered morally wrong or detrimental towards a long-term relationship. And you continue to do it. And you continue to do it over and over and over again. But again, if you know yourself, because nobody can do this for you, it is completely possible. Female wise, more female wise than male wise, apparently, to be caught in some infidelity or to do some infidelity and not be caught in it. But the one time is the one time. If you're going to keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again, you really are not ready yet. And you got to let yourself know you really are not ready yet for a long-term relationship. You're really not ready yet. You're really not ready. You haven't gotten it out your system. You haven't gotten your need for sexual desires or lust out of your system, or you're just not old enough yet for your body to get to a point naturally where it's just like, I don't need that anymore. For the most part, again, for the most part, the average 60 and 70-year-old who are in a relationship, who are in a long-term 30, 40-year-old relationship, they're not having sex anymore. Or they are, for a fact, not having sex anywhere near a regular basis. Once you hit those ages, you're 70, 80, 90 years old and you're with your partner, You may be lovey-dovey, you may be smooching, kissing, you're not having sex anymore. It's more of a chore to do it than it is not to. You have to use Viagra, you have to use all these medications, but you have to do all these. It becomes a chore. Something that was easy that you could have done spontaneously in your youth, it is now a chore to do when you're older. You have to go out of your way to do it now. It's not practical. It's not, to me, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Can you do it? Could you do it? Yeah. Are you gonna have to put in extra work? That's on you. That's on you. That's on you. That's on you. And again, I ain't 40, 50, 60. I ain't 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 yet. Majority of the 40, 60, 70, 80-year-old that I've been in contact with in my life, they don't do that anymore. They're satisfied. They've lived that part of their life. They're done with it. This is why when I hear certain scenarios about 30, 40-year-old men still cheating or doing things of that nature, intent too. Even women. I can see that. You're getting to an age where you're getting older, but you're also getting to an age where, and I've also heard scenarios too where there are men in their 30s, 40s, 50s who are not even having sex. They just pay for another female's lifestyle, or the male is with the female who's much older and she just paying for their lifestyle. That is you trying to grasp. To me, that is you just trying to grasp onto your youth. Because cheating doesn't necessarily have to be sex. It could be income too. Why are you spending a good portion of your income, and again, even more bastardized, even more income, on an individual? Spending more income on an individual rather than your own immediate family. That's logically not even beneficial for you, because you're not going to get that income back. You're not going to get it back. But if you're chasing after a feeling, if you're chasing after what you used to have, things of that nature and intent to, because you're not yet fully satisfied with your life, or you are trying to run towards your youth versus understand the greatness or wisdom that comes with becoming an elder, then that is something that you need to work on too. Life's not perfect. And I'm sad to say that life's not perfect, or perfect in the way we believe it to be. Because I'm not really sad that life's not perfect. I'm really sad that I've lived in a society my entire life that tried to preach to me that it's supposed to be. I'm sad that I had to live my entire life, or majority of my life, up to a point where people know they can't live up to the certain standard that they preach that they preach themselves. They don't live up to the standards that they preach themselves. But they still preach it to be true. And it's my only hope that a talk like this can get you to realize, understand situations better. Don't take disrespect from anybody, but realize if you're just not there yet in your life, you're just not there. If you're just not yet at a point where you can afford, even if you want to do right by even if you want to do right by a female, even if you want to do right by a male, and you can't provide what they want, this man wants 3 kids by you. You already have 5 or 6, and you just can't take the pregnancy anymore. Can't take pregnancy anymore. That's not a problem. You just can't provide what that individual man wants anymore. And it can hurt, because you could say you find a really good one and it just doesn't work out. You're not there. That's not for you. Because in certain schools of astrology, depending on what type of chart you look at, 28 could be the time to get married. 28 could be the time to get married. In other schools or other measures you could look up, 42 could be the time to get married. Not in your youth. Not in your youth. Not in your youth. Not in the youth. Don't ever look at a one-off exception and be like, that is the norm. That is one of the biggest sins we can commit to ourselves, because you only convince yourself of something that is not true, and you get hurt when it doesn't work out the way that you want. You get hurt by it. You realize that you really don't want a relationship if you're young. You still want fun. You still just want fun. And if you don't get fun, and if you're a male too, if you don't get fun or access, me included, you don't get the fun or the fun that you want in your 20s, you still got your 30s. That is the one thing about a male. A male, even if you don't get what you want in your 20s, you have your 30s. And even some males, you have your 40s. Just don't be in a relationship already when you're doing it. You're just going to cause yourself problems. Females, you have more access when you're youth. You have more access in your youth. I cannot tell a 17, 18 to 20-something-year-old female to bunker down with the first person that wants to fall in love with her. Why? The world is your oyster at this point. You're at the prime of your life, the peak of your beauty. Access to anything, you have access to everything you got to do. But by the time you hit your 30s and your 40s, or not even, it's not even 40s, it don't even go that far. By the time you hit your early 30s going into mid 30s, settle, try to find something to settle down to do. So start really asking yourself, okay, out of all the experiences I've had with men in their life, which one which one is going to actually make me happy? Which one is actually going to provide for me and my children? Who's going to provide the lifestyle that I want? Not the person that you know for a fact is going to be a good one-night stand. When one person that you know for a fact, you can be like, you know what, I could actually live with this individual. And at the end of the day, not everybody's meant to have a 50, 60-year-long relationship. Your relationship partners can die. You can lose. You may, and if they don't die, some people just end up in situations where you were not meant to be. Some people turn out to be monks. Some people dedicate their lives to their crafts, go on spiritual religious journeys. Some people have families. Some people have families in their 20s and 30s, raise their kids, and then by the time their kids turn 18 or something, they go on their spiritual journeys. They leave. They're 50, they're 60 years old, now they're a monk. Now they're a monk. They live that life. They don't want to live it long enough. We have such a narrow view of how life is supposed to be. And it's really coming to understand how life is supposed to be for you. How life is supposed to be for you. We have such a narrow view of this is how life is. And it must work by these rules, these standards, these operations. And I woke up these past 2 days. And again, this is something I'm still going through. I'm still young myself. I haven't figured everything out. Some of the things I may be explaining right now may fly over my head. I may be just talking right now what I've gathered, information that I've gathered from reality around me. I might just be gathering around and spewing it out into the world. It may not come back to really even haunt me or affect me properly until I've already reached the age that I'm speaking of. I don't have the amount of monetary resources to provide right now for a female the way I really, really want to, even if I really, really want to. Yet, I don't have it. I literally cannot afford a long-term relationship. A good, functioning long-term, I can't afford it. Can I beat myself over that? No. Long life ahead of me. Does that mean I'm not doing well, I'm not making movements? No. Slowly but surely, every single day with my astrology, I'm doing well. And thank you to everybody who's gotten a reading, who follows my content. And if you're young like me, realize you're supposed to have fun. Or 9 or 8 out of 10 times, you're going to have fun. And you gotta realize too, a boyfriend is not a husband. You do have a certain level of commitment, but if it falls through, that's like still in the dating phase. You still don't know what you want. A boyfriend is not a husband. A girlfriend is not a wife. Unless that person is a fiance and the marriage is ordained to be the next week, the next month, within the year. Things have already planned, people have already been invited, the rings have already been gotten. There's no serious level of commitment you have to hold yourself up to. And you shouldn't feel as if you should. And if you are dealing with baby fathers, baby mothers, try to do the best for your children. You may hate the individual that you got to. Try to mitigate the time. Try to mitigate if you have somebody that you hate. And again, I have exes that hate my soul. I have exes right now. Hate my soul. Hate my soul. But try to mitigate the time you have to spend with them. Try to mitigate the arguments. Don't be privy to start an argument at the first thing that they say. Do not be privy to start an argument at the first thing that they say. Let it go. Let it slide. Let it go. Let it slide. You don't want to be in that situation with that man trying to expose people, trying to expose the female on the internet. Let it slide. Let it slide. You already know they're gonna act like that regardless. Take the disrespect, take the discompliment that they're gonna give you, because it's only momentary. Get access to your child and then have it that way. You don't need to fight. You don't need to fight. And if you don't have access to your children when you're young, because some people are in this situation, I'm trying to cover everybody right now. If you're in a situation where you don't have access to your child in your youth, you will have access to that child when they get older. Once that child hits their teens to their 20s, if they want to go see their father, the mother can't stop them. If they want to go see their father themselves, the mother can't stop them. Can't stop them if they want to see you. Don't think that just because you don't have access to your child in your youth or in their youth, they're going to automatically hate you. I've seen so many situations where a parent will try to teach their child to hate the other parent. And they might be saying or repeating those things as a baby, and it's going to hurt you, but you got to realize they're going to grow up too. You have more life ahead of you than you do not. I've heard multiple situations of people re-meeting, rekindling with their parents in their 20s, in their youth, and getting to have a good relationship with them. It's not over. You got more life ahead of you than you think. And try not to be so dismayed at the first sign of infidelity. Don't take it so serious yet. But if you're in your older ages, hanker down. Seriously figure out what you want. But this has been Chris Azir, Astrology Universe. Catch y'all next time.